Well, welcome to Leicester Fan TV. My name's Phil. It's Wednesday night. It's 12 minutes past 10 at night. We told you whenever anything exciting happens, we will go live here on Leicester Fan TV. So get your views and get your comments in. Tonight's news is that officially James Maddison is no longer a Leicester City player. The shirts are going to have to come off the wall. He now is a Spurs player. So this is a transfer news, breaking news story. We want your views, your comments from everybody as Leicester City fans on that breaking news that James Maddison is now a Spurs player. Yeah, welcome to the show. Get your views in, get your comments in. Reedy is going to be joining me very, very shortly. But James Maddison, it's official. It's one of those. I've seen the video. I've seen him in a Spurs shirt. I've seen him say, "Come on, you Spurs." It feels very, very weird whenever you see a player leave, but we want your views and we want your comments in that. As ever, we can put them up live on screen during the show. Locke says here, class player on his day, but as we know, he's been looking at other clubs for months. Good riddance, bottle job, club attracts bottle job players, says Locke's there. Perhaps a little bit harsh. I think now might be the time to just say thanks, Madders. But Carlos says, knew he was going, didn't we? Spurs, though, geez, bet he wanted Newcastle. Not sure about that. Listen, Maddison's he was a good player for us, wasn't it? So I want to get your views in and your comments in on that, obviously. Matt says, I was Maddison's milkman. He always left a good tip. Was that a tip for the horses, Matt, or was it a tip for your pocket, let's say? Andrea says, great player, but he had to go. Listen, let's get Reedy in, get Reedy's views on it. Good evening, Reedy. Obviously, it's breaking news. It's out there. It's been out just half an hour, maybe a little bit longer. It's official. We've seen it on Leicester City's official site, isn't it? It's gone.
Yeah, we kind of knew the whole way through today, obviously in the office as well, that it was always going to look like the case that he was going to be moving at some point today. And finally, at about 9 o'clock, he was announced. Again, we knew it was going to happen. I'm just glad it happened a lot quicker than before it would be prolonged a lot more than it was. But he's gone. Thank God for that. As in, we've got 40 million pounds now to spend on getting a rebuild started.
Well, like Joe says here, happy we got the deal done fast. And I agree. Better to be done. The Fafana saga dragged on far too long last year. Joe says, gives us a chance to rebuild. Things are definitely moving now. Winks is coming in, we believe, tomorrow as well.
Yes, yeah. By the looks of it, £10 million from Spurs. I thought it was going to be a connection for the Maddison transfer, but obviously not. But it looks like the fee's been agreed at £10 million for Winks. Hopefully, he's going to bring something good to the Championship. I'm not too confident on it because obviously he's coming from the Premier League. But there's been so many links recently to Leicester, so let's just hope all these links are coming true.
Locke says here, I know it's harsh, but the reason he's joined Spurs is because of the lifestyle. He epitomises a private jet footballer, which I happen to agree with Locke's in there, that there is quite a lot of that. He's gone to Spurs, he's gone to Newcastle. It doesn't really matter to us where he goes. I think as football fans, we would probably go, well, crikey, we've had a bit of an ongoing saga with Spurs, obviously over the last few years, Reedy, and them not winning. So we've revelled in that, although perhaps they're getting the last laugh now, still being in the Premier League and taking players off us.
Yeah, for me, it's weird. It's a weird move for him because, again, in my eyes, when players play football and want to be a footballer, they want the best for what their career wants to be. And for him to move to somewhere like Spurs, it's a bit. Obviously, it's a big jump. So we can't deny that Spurs are one of the better teams in the Premier League. But when was the last time they won a trophy? When is the last time they were in the Champions League? He's obviously not gone there for a footballing career. Upgrade. He's gone like Locke says. He's gone for the lifestyle choice of being in London, being pampered around. I guess maybe he was pampered around a bit in the Leicester training ground, but like you say, he's gone for the luxury instead of the footballing career, in my opinion.
I think most Leicester fans listen. This Declan Rice is meant to be going for like £105 million, which seems astronomical and an astronomically difference to what Madders has got. But like Scott says here, better £40 million now than £50 million in August. Mm-hmm. He gives it a thumbs up. And I'm 100% with what Scott is saying there. I'd rather take the 40 million now and just move on and get players in. Really, I think it makes far more sense.
Yeah, I agree. Like I say, you want the money in now to get the transfers in. Last year we were struggling to get Fofana gone before until after the season even started. So I'm just glad it's done. The 40 million pounds there now to splash on other players. We've already heard of Cody, Stefan, and even like I say, Winks. All of these guys very closely linked to Leicester at the moment. So it's good to see because we're all getting excited now. And with the teams that people have been making on Twitter of what the team could be starting the season in the Championship, you'd be really quite confident with what we're going to put out there.
David says, thought we sold him a little cheap, thought we could have got 50 for him or had a deal with Winks included. Listen, there's two things there, David. I would say 50, it's like that bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. I know 40 million pounds today, we can spend it today, tomorrow and get it in. The second part of that really is part of the reason I wonder if the Winks deal wasn't tied in together is because the reality is that, for example, if Maddison has clearly passed his medical at Spurs, that's gone through, sell him 40 million. If Winks was to come do medicals and anything go wrong, you just don't want to snarl up the Maddison move on the basis of Winks not being part of it. So for me, I'm quite pleased they're not actually interconnected.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like I say, if anything did happen or did go wrong with medicals or whatnot, it could all fall through, and you could be stuck with another way of trying to find Maddison a new place to play, a new club to play at. Again, it might not have been Spurs if that was the case. So I'm just glad it was done. And if we do get Winks for a price that has been rumoured about, we're basically just giving them 10 million back from what they paid for Maddison. So it's a good deal, and it's just straightforward for us to get done.
The councillor says here, good evening, councillor. He says, Madders had an amazing first touch and movement on his day, was up there with Mahrez for quality. I'm not going to quite put him up there with Mahrez because Mahrez really, for me, is one of my, well, probably the best skillful player I've ever seen in a Leicester shirt. And I did see Keith Weller. I always say that. But I'll put Mahrez up there. I thought Madders on his day, like the councillor says there, Reedy. Let's look back on him with fond memories at times because he was a really good player. I'm not going to say a great player, but he was a really good player on his day. But there was a good and a bad side to Madders because he could be infuriating as well. And we definitely could have that debate about perhaps he let us down when the tough times were coming. What's your goods and bads of James Maddison?
Goods, I would always come back to the certain play of the ball, like I always tell you about, the little swerve outside the boot. When he's playing well, he makes these wonderful passes and makes these brilliant through balls to our strikers, and they always score goals from it. But when he's not in his best of times, he is moaning about on the floor. He just gets mardy again, doesn't want to play at times, just don't see him want to try enough. So you've got two completely different sides to him. And when I was getting interviewed with a Spurs fan about him before, he basically said, will he be a good mentality player? And I went, depends who you've got, or depends how you're playing, because in good form, he'll be a brilliant player. And in his interviews after the game, he's brilliant. And I love how he talks about it because he's honest. But at other times, he makes himself look like an idiot, I guess, because he's saying, "Oh, with the team we've got, we should be doing better," but we got relegated, so you couldn't really say that, could you? So
Yeah, frustrating, isn't it? And again, we shouldn't do it, but we were watching that Leicester v Everton game, the 2-2 game. It would have been 3-1 with the Madders penalty. It is going to stick in the memory of a lot of Leicester fans that penalty miss from Madders. You can't pin the whole season on it because there was obviously a lot more, but it was a tough one that almost was a pinpoint moment, wasn't it?
it was season defining. We said it after the penalty got missed because again, who puts Maddison on a penalty when he's not took one since 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Vardy was on the pitch. I think Yuri was on the pitch, if I'm not mistaken. You'd probably give it to one of them two, and I think it counts more because it was Everton we were playing against, and they're the team that did stay up out of the three teams who could have been staying up. So it was just too big of a moment to miss. Again, anyone could have missed a penalty if it wasn't Maddison, but you'd probably rule down to that one moment to cost us the whole Premier League.
An interesting question here from YouTube. This Tandil Tim is a Newcastle fan. He's already said, he says, do we regret perhaps not selling Maddison last summer to Newcastle, given some hindsight? Hindsight is a wonderful thing, really. Had we sold him for 50 million and then got other players in, I'll probably say no, I don't regret it.
No, I think he did. He still gave us a lot of moments last season that really showed how good quality he was. And again, yes, we lost a lot of games last season, but we did win quite a few games in a row, and he was clearly part of that. Before the World Cup, he was on fire, and he was going to the World Cup until he got injured in the last game before the World Cup. So he's done he's done enough for us. Fair play to him, but I just still don't understand the reasoning why he's gone to Spurs over a different club. But again,
well, the reality,
the lifestyle situation it is.
Well, the reality is really maybe nobody else. A bit like why has Yuri gone to Aston Villa? The honest answer is because nobody else has put in a bid that is anywhere near serious, or perhaps put any other bid in. And much as Newcastle did put a bid in last summer, I've actually heard from quite a few sources that they actually haven't put a bid in this summer at all for him, and they are going after other players. So they may have seen stuff that they didn't fancy. The councillor says here, Madders has a better first touch than Mahrez, no contest. I couldn't disagree more with you, and we'll have that debate another day, councillor, not in this show, but we will have it if you want to have that one. Locke says here, and again, this will perhaps sum up a lot of things. He says, favourite Madders moment was the goal and assist versus Arsenal in 2019. Worst memory will be, well, there's a few to choose from. The missed penalty that we've just talked about. But then the tweet to Rob Tanner, really, which for me, and Locks has mentioned it there, and thank you for mentioning it, Locks, that tweet to Rob Tanner probably for me is an absolute moment this season that sums up why we've got relegated, because that to me was the attitude of players, management, the whole club was what you took. I mean, Rob Tanner been reporting on Leicester for a long time. He's a reporter. He's entitled to his views. That's his job. Rob Tanner's job is to report on Leicester's matches. James Maddison's job was to play well and keep Leicester up. That tweet came back to haunt James Maddison.
Yeah, I think I remember myself backing it when I saw it, because I want to see that sort of thing out of my players. But we've gone relegated, and it just shows, because like he says there, the missed penalty, a clear moment to not just the only reason, but one big reason why we did get relegated. So if you're on your game and you didn't take such an awful penalty, maybe it could have kept us up. So that tweet really didn't help it at all, did it? Because, like I say, we weren't good enough to stay up, even the team I had.
Do you know what? The reason I love doing these live, Reedy, is because you and me get to talk. But the reason I really love doing it live is because everybody watching knows way more about Leicester City than me and you. And Mick has just put this in here. Hamza to clatter his hip in the friendly. I absolutely haven't put two and two together. That, of course, Leicester are playing Spurs in that ridiculous Singapore tournament. So we'll almost be one of the first teams that James Maddison potentially plays, albeit in a friendly, on July the 23rd, is it?
I couldn't tell you what date it is, but yeah. I commented it in our little chat saying that I hope we get him in the cup. And then Jamie literally mentioned saying we've got him in a pre-season friendly. I was like, brilliant. Just either let him be on the bench or let Hamza Chowdhury take him out the whole season. I'm not being horrible. It would be lovely to see.
We wouldn't wish that on anybody, would we, in there? Curtis says, I love Maddison. I'm actually sad. Listen, Curtis, look, there is a reason I've paid. Again, I have to pay money like Reedy does. Everything Leicester City you see and Reedy's wearing and I'm wearing, we buy it. We're football fans. I pay money to get Maddison printed on shirts. So I'm a big fan of Maddison as well. We just have to remember these players come and they go. I'd have loved him to have stayed at Leicester in the Championship. It was never going to happen. He's too good for the Championship by a country mile. Just gutted that actually he did definitely show passion to try and keep us up, Reedy, but it wasn't always controlled, was it? There was plenty of games where you could say head's gone for Maddison in that last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like you say, it's just one of the things where one day he's moaning on the pitch, the next day is up on his best form. So he's not a player that you can always say he's a 7 or 8 out of 10. He's sometimes awful, sometimes brilliant. So you just don't know what you're going to get with Maddison each day.
Yeah, Neil says there, he talked the talk but didn't always walk the walk. He isn't bigger than the club. Take the money and move on, which we will do. I mean, again, that's part of it, isn't it, Reedy? After tonight, after this show, we don't need to talk about James Maddison tomorrow. We need to talk about, hopefully, Winks, Connor Cody, things going forward. Obviously, there'll be more players coming and going, but we can, after this, pretty much draw a line under James Maddison, which is good news for us.
Yeah, exactly. Like people are saying, he's great, but I'm just glad that the transfer is done quick and we can move on with it because he's not our player anymore. We don't need to talk about him. Well done for what you've done for us, but let's move on to new and better things, hopefully, with Winks, Cody, and all them other players that should be coming into Leicester.
Yeah, Ben just quickly asked about the Cody and Winks deals. For me, really, both seem decent signings for a championship season. Cody, obviously, a lot of Premier League experience, could come in and become club captain even. And Winks has, again, been around the Premier League for a lot of seasons, and it's not quite happened for him over the last couple. So ready for a chance to drop down and go again, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not too convinced on Winks, but until I see what's on the pitch, we just got to hope for the best because I'm not too sure you can probably replace someone like Maddison, but you can always try and do your best.
Brilliant. Listen, thanks, Reedy, for joining us live. I know it's late. Thanks for getting all your views in, all your comments in. We'll see you very soon. Cheers, Reedy.
See you in a bit.
So that's Reedy. Thanks for him joining us. Thanks for all your views, all your comments in there. Lots of views, lots of comments. Like we said, whenever anything breaks, if it's a gossip, if it's a news, if it's a rumour, whatever, we'll bring it to you here. Follow us on all socials at Leicester Fan TV. Thanks for Reedy and thanks for all your views. Maddison is gone. Thank you. Farewell. We move on. The Championship beckons. New players coming in. It's going to be an exciting time here on Leicester Fan TV. See you all very, very soon. Cheers. Good night.
Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everard's, Pucka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Writers, Hologram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newbie & Co. Estate Agents. Make sure to follow us on all of our social channels at Leicester Fan TV. Visit our website, leicesterfantv.com.